and to celebrate the spirit of Valentine's Day, we are here with some of the unconventional, heartwarming love stories. I'm sitting with Preeti Das. She's the co-founder of comedy group Mahila Manch. She's an academician. She is a former journalist. And here is Thakkar. He is the professor at CEPT University, and we will deep dive into their story, how they met, what were the complications, if there were any, and about their journey together. So yes, Preeti and Jai, tell us about where did you both meet? How did it start?
That's a very complicated question. So whenever somebody asks this question, it always starts with
this expression.
yes and tissue papers.
Yeah. So we met at the first ever Ahmedabad International Film Festival, and he was a jury member. So there were a lot of movies before we got the final 10. So we had to eliminate those movies. So we had a jury member. And I remember I was calling all of them to say you have to come here tomorrow. And what actually struck me, and I remember, is on the phone he said, "Why are only men on the jury? Why is there no woman?" And I remember that very clearly because it was like, "अरे ये कौन है बे?
ऐसा बोल दिया
ऐसा किसने बोला?" और मेरे भी ध्यान से निकल गया कि अरे हाँ, jury में महिलाएं नहीं हैं. So then I'm like, yeah, wow, that was the first thing. Then of course.
So also interestingly, when I was coming to the jury, I said I'm gonna be 4 minutes late.
Okay.
And now, after 12 years of marriage, now I know why she was shocked. 4 minutes? मैं तो 40 मिनट लेट हो चुका. 4 मिनट तो कौन गई? It's not even called late.
4 minutes late. Sorry, I'm 4 minutes late. And I'm like, is this guy mad? Seriously. So yeah, that's how we met. And for some odd reason, he thought that I'm not the jury in charge, but I'm the girl who serves tea coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what he mistook me for, because he asked me, I want tea, and his tea spilled, and he said, please bring me tissue papers. So I took it on my ego, like I'm well educated, I'm not here to give you tissue papers. So I got the entire bundle, the katha from the canteen, and
okay.
Yeah.
And we are still using that.
It was just like satire, take it, don't ask for any more.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time we met.
Yeah, and then how did you decide that you want to be together? Or?
Actually, we were not supposed to be together as far as I know, because we were very candid, and if he doesn't want it, you can edit it. I'm going to take it again. So we were not supposed to be together because I had come back from Bangalore after a broken heart. And I was very clear that after the international film project, I want to go abroad.
Okay.
So I was working towards study, looking at my SATs and stuff, or the entrance and stuff. And he was also in a relationship. So we both were
not into each other.
No, we were.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not supposed to
Not
be.
supposed to.
Not supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was supposed to be hooked somewhere else, and I was
Supposed to fly away.
Yeah, just go away. This
Okay.
was not supposed to happen, and this is not part of life, the planning or whatever.
And then you decided that being a South Indian, you will marry a Gujarati Lohana.
It's like, Gujarat has done so much for me. Itna to kar lo. Unke bete se shaadi kar.
Yeah. But then cultural differences come in between. And then how did you tackle that for 12 years?
So the fact is, a lot of time when she's angry, she speaks in Tamil.
Yeah.
And I say yes. Yes to everything which is there. It's okay. Never learn the language, because if you learn the language, you know what she's saying.
Yeah.
So it works very well that way.
And I think it's always nice, and I always feel that when people from different cultures get married, especially in our country, we are looking at the same caste, the same this thing. I feel diversity brings in such richness in life, such a variety, that it is beautiful. In ways that it is tolerant, so there are bad whatever instances also. First thing people are like, अरे तेरा पति कितना गोरा है, बच्चा तो एकदम ऐसा चेस बोर्ड जैसा आएगा, from that to I remember when during our honeymoon, I don't know whether he knows, but when we got to Sri Lanka, everybody was like, a lot of these Lohana Kachis, and you know this better, are so fair that they can pass off as foreigners, right? So there was this temple for foreigners who's taking more money, as opposed to brown skin. So they first said that, and they look at me and say, Gaida. I'm like, ek money, 7.5. So they thought, you see that? You see? So we've been dealing
I like that, yeah. You never told me that.
I'm guiding his life, guiding light, but...
You got a free ticket?
No.
Oh shit! Yeah.
But it was so insane.
Yeah.
So we see both. So that also brings in a lot of. So while these are small instances of differences, but I think it brings in so much variety when it comes to food, celebrations. There is nothing which is fixed culture. Culture can never be fixed. You know.
But then any strong differences which you also tackled, I mean, for all those people who don't know you personally?
I think the differences that I tackled as a person was that going on stage, speaking about him, using his family as content for my stand-up has always been an issue. I think,
it has been, I think, an issue for other people that, oh, ye kaise kar liya?
हाँ,
But I'm not sure कि घर में, like, how do you deal with that? Or
I don't think so. I think so. One of the good part about basically is that nearly every festival is what we are celebrating. Okay. Also in terms of basically food, cuisines, it's a wide variety which basically comes on platter.
Yeah.
And that is what we can also see in our son. Because now he's enjoying nearly what basically culture and the food from Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Bengal, and Andaman Islands.
Yeah. So no, there was no major difference, and I think that's the reason why I married him, because he never said कि non-veg नहीं खाना है. Stage पे जाके आप जिस तरह का content कर रहे हो नहीं करना है. In fact, I remember this one guy coming and telling Jay कि very seriously that and if I can say it in Gujarati कि तारी बहरी stage पर कितनी गाड़ो बोले सुन क्या है. He said आप तो कहीं नहीं घरे आए बेजू. And that guy didn't know what to say. So somewhere while it was, I think it was the differences that attracted us mutually.
Okay.
In terms of everything, personality, nature, the fact that he doesn't enjoy non-veg as much as I do.
Okay.
And it's never been the fact that he's allowed me. I just do it. It's me.
It's not about someone allowing the other person. Never.
No. Exactly. So it's always been about.
And every relationship goes through highs, lows. So what has been the lowest point of your relation? And
Every day I think we see a new role. Every day. I'm not joking. We fight. And
I think so every day. It's
and my ultimatum is I'm walking out.
But then what has kept you going for all these years? Like, does one person take a back seat, or like, how have you dealt with it for so many years?
Who's gonna repair my computer? Who's gonna service my car? Who's gonna basically make me chai in the morning? Who's gonna take care of my son? All of those basically she thinks and says, "Chalo yaar, abhi ek din chala lete hain aur dekhte hain." So then it goes on and on and on.
No, but also I think what happens is, on a very serious note, there are certain very heartbreaking situations, and one of them is standing solid. You're like, "Chalo yaar, at least this is a strong pillar." That and small little things, it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. Fights, big fights, nasty fights, and after a certain point in a marriage, honestly, we all know it gets boring. Like hey, same banda day in and day out. So how do you deal with that? And then suddenly it becomes good companionship, trust, and much more. And that evolves with time.
But do you run out of love? Does that happen?
It's a very complicated question, because somehow people think that love is the only thing that basically binds the marriage. I think so. It's a false assumption, right? Love is something which is a catalyst, which initiates things. But I think so beyond that, it is basically companionship. It's trust. It's every day-to-day negotiation for every smaller things, every bigger things is what matters. I think so. Love is basically like an underlying thread. So it's like a basically necklace where it is a thread, and everything then basically gets woven within that. But when you wear a necklace, you don't see the thread. So I think so. Sometimes people take love as the only factor which holds things, but no.
It's not.
And I think it's more like someone to fall back on. Like I just tell him, okay, I've got this shooting. Like I just telling him that 2 din nahi. And I know that
He will.
everything will be sorted. Like the kid will be taken care of, schedules will not be disturbed. And I think that is what the problem is at a certain age. And with age, I think we all understand love differently, right? At a certain age, it's only sex. At a certain age, it's only testosterone, hormones. Then it's only about looking good. Then
you
it's
pass out.
comfortable. And everything about it changes. And with time, it should, because you're growing as individuals, as you become partners, you become parents. Even if you don't become parents, everything around you changes. And also, life shows you a lot of lows in which someone has been there with you constantly. So that makes it very very important.
Very important to be.
हाँ तो प्यार खाली वो गाने या वो
Yeah.
दिल का धड़कना नहीं होता है.
It's a lot more.
I think it's a lot more.
Yeah,
It's
I think
शांत
so.
होना also.
I think so. Later on, it talks about heart attack. Not really.
खबराई. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, tell me that she is comparatively more in the public domain than you are. So how do you deal with that? I mean, I have seen you being in the audience, taking care of things while she is on stage performing. What has been your experience? What do you feel then?
So it is. So our relationship is basically like 7 days of a week. Okay. So 5 days is me and 2 days it's her. So it's like weekends is her and 5 days. You cannot have weekends every day, and you cannot have those basically day to days, 5 days every day, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes like that. So I hold a lot of things, and she's out in public, and I'm absolutely fine. I kind of like it. She's out there in the stage.
Yeah.
I think so. Nearly, it's only lately that we have not seen, but otherwise, major of the shows,
Yeah.
right? I think so. From the first show till the last one, I've been there.
Yeah.
Now our son has also been there. You know, I think so. From the womb, he's been performing to
Yeah, I've been performing
to
with the
8
time I
years
was
now.
pregnant,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah.
he has been there. So, and I think so. It's kind of nicer to basically be with him, and now that he's growing up, he also understands nuances.
Yeah.
You know, and to make him understand and explain what mommy is doing and why is she on the stage and what she's saying, and he also now participates as part of it. So I feel kind of quite nice, you know,
Yeah.
that he is also now part of the stage also.
But for many Indian men, it's like the masculinity वो hurt हो जाता है. Like, has it ever bothered you?
Nare,
Okay.
why would it? Yeah, I think so. She's good. She talks a lot.
Yeah.
Right, and she loves talking. So till the point, basically, she's not talking to me, then she's talking to somebody else. And possibly stage is also a place where she expresses, she vents out, you know, all her issues and everything. And I think so. Everybody needs that point,
Yeah.
right? And I think so. Stage is the place for her where she feels free,
True.
right? So absolutely happy. Yeah.
And so you also mentioned that it is important for two people to leave their house and start something together. So if you can just elaborate a little more on that, which is very important for a successful marriage.
What happens is that the problem in the Indian society is that we all come with a baggage, right? Whether the society is a baggage, community is a baggage, parents, family, they all are baggages, right? And especially when you basically go for a marriage, or basically when you go for a live-in or any form of a relationship, you need to really leave some of those baggages and start afresh, right? One of the way, and which becomes extremely important, is to start with a place, right? And the place needs to be fresh, new, away from all of this, where two individuals can start knowing each other and start growing together over a period of time.
And that's why.
Yeah.
So just to say that our parents are here in the same city.
Yeah.
So typically लोगों को ये लगता है कि अगर माँ बाप है तो क्यों एक और घर, you know, but we were very clear, because while cultural differences are celebrated, they can also be a problem.
Yeah.
You know, like I need certain meals, I am a certain way, I am not an early riser. Typically women are expected to
be a certain way.
Yeah, and to rise up early. And I haven't done, and I'm telling this, I haven't done any morning chores. I sleep. I'm someone who works till late in the night. I like my time, my space. I'm that kind of mother who, instead of putting the child to sleep, I put him in full energy by doing crazy stories in the night. So utha nahi jata. 12 years, 11 years of marriage. I think bearing a few days, every day he has given me tea. He has handled the kid, made sure he's dropped to school.
Yeah.
But that typically in a house would be like, अरे कौन 9 बजे उठता है, मैं उठती हूँ, मुझे अच्छा लगता है 9 बजे उठना, you know. So
And I think so. It works also very well, you know, because the house is quiet. Right.
But
So
did you have to fight all the stereotypical things which are expected of women when they get married?
fight with whom?
yeah, because we left home, so it was always us.
Okay.
Thankfully, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So
it would have been very difficult. It would have been very difficult.
No. Also, what happens is that each of us also need to be a strong individual to make sure that they also act as a buffer,
Yeah.
right? For each other. Otherwise, basically, the society, people, norms, they all are there to basically crush you,
Yeah.
right? So you need to make sure that basically the other person doesn't get affected by what your side of the people, and
saying
same
or
way
what
it
their
goes
side
their
of
side of
the
people.
people.
So
basically.
typically, he has seen his mother get up early. So for him, the definition of a woman is सवारे जल्दी वेला उठवानो ने બધું. આપણા दिन ना था, you know, and he never told me that.
Yeah. So it was never about imposing one thing on the other
No,
person. Like
no.
No, I think so. If you give that space, right, you need to give that space, and over a period of time, there's a pattern which evolve, among individuals, and then you start realizing that this is where you are more comfortable. This is where somebody else is more comfortable, and let's not disturb that space.
True.
So that becomes important.
And then how has parenting changed you both or the relationship that you share?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So she keeps on saying कि मैंने बच्चे को जना है ना,
हाँ.
ठीक है, 9 महीना पेट में रखा ना,
अब no
अब हो गया, अभी जो भी करता है, it's all your duty, right? And I keep on telling her कि luckily, basically because you are breastfeeding, you are a woman. If I was supposed to breastfeed, तुमने तो वो भी ले किया होता, वो भी मैं भी करता होता यार.
Nurture and as they say, giving birth and caring is both
responsibility.
हाँ, तो biologically मैंने birth दिया है, but उसके तरत बाद जरूरी है कि I mean this whole thing of women are also caretakers, caregivers is crazy. So I know the first bath Kabir got, he is given the first. So that's why he says कि अगर कुछ और भी मेरा शरीर कर पाता तो मैं करने ही देती हूँ. So even today everything about so it's so Kabir has fun with me. He knows that when it's mom, it's outing, it's dance, it's craziness. Typically, if you look at most people, they will associate this with dad. Dad Sanjay मेना पची मचावे. But no, with him it is homework करने का है, तबला करने का है. There's a stability. But mom is तूफान. So the deal is there has never been a problem. Even Kabir understands कि मम्मी एकले कहीं मस्ती.
But it's beautiful how those gender stereotypical roles doesn't work here. I mean, I think you both might have mutually built it, or this is how you both are, and that's why it worked.
I think we also built it.
But it doesn't come naturally. I think so. We are also genetically. You look at basically even the human race, right? We are among the newest species, right? So genetically, we are also basically programmed, to function in a certain way. It requires a lot of effort to basically digress from that and come down to the individuals that you are at this point. So I think so. It works very well also for both of us, because making sure that the kid is taken care, in terms of the day I am late in the rising up, he's late for school.
I'm getting up. It's not that I get up.
Right?
Cannot.
Simple. Right? But making sure that the weekends are basically packed with fun, someday basically, oh, chalo, aaj no homework, school chhod do, chalo, let's go somewhere.
और हमने चल मैं तेरा homework कर देती हूँ. And he's like, नहीं, he will never learn, and then we both go and I do it, for him. Yeah, I know I shouldn't be saying this, but so it's like
that's how the dynamics.
Yeah, and there's a saying we always hear that if you're only talking about raising strong women, where are you bringing up men to deal with these strong women? True. And I think I'd be very fortunate in that case because it requires a lot. It requires a lot of patience of just sitting in the car, when I am fighting with people on the road because I think what they're doing is wrong.
And
doing it, fighting and then saying, chalo abhi police station, and he's like just sitting. Instead of saying or getting annoyed, because typically people will get annoyed, right? Ki kyun kare yaar, jawan hai yaar, and stuff like that. So that.
But you do you, and
me laga tu kariya, but wo problems hai okay. Also, Janvi, me as a mother going to protests, being detained, etc. And I gave him a call, ke aaj Sanjay, bas jammanu madu thai jaise tu aram diya, so. There's nothing like hi. Why are you going for a protest? Why are you
doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
And does this unconventional marriage in Gujarat, does that play any role, like the geography of this place or what the social elements of the state or of the city, like does that come into play in any way? Like how would people here react to a certain way? If you were somewhere else, this would not have happened or this would have happened.
Yeah, honestly, I think so. If you start worrying too much about place or people, I think so you cannot live function or live the way that you want. So irrespective of whether you are in a more liberal place or a more conservative place, you need to find your way to make sure that you have your own way of functioning. Both, and especially now with the family, with basically the Kabir around, he also sees this part, he also sees this whole non-conventional part, and I think so we are very happy we expose him to, basically we have taken him to those pride parades, and we are very happy that he's getting exposed to variety of different things, right? also the whole idea of marriage and whether marriage is important or not, that's a kind of discussion also that we have with him. And marriage with the same gender, marriage with opposite gender, are
It
the
can
also
be
the, all,
choice.
it is a choice, right? And I think so. It's marriage is not important. It is the companionship which is important. As we were talking. So, I think so that becomes important. That where you find that companionship, marriage just is a binding name or something like that. At this point, because one of the things that we also did that in Kabir has dual surname, right?
Oh yeah.
So that
was quite messy.
became kind of quite an issue because my surname is Thakkar,
Yeah.
her is Das.
Das.
And we both are maintaining the same surname,
Surname.
right? And Kabir's surname is Das Thakkar.
Yeah.
So in order to basically bring also that,
That
That
element.
was crazy. That was crazy.
That was a different battle altogether.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was quite.
It is. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Every day is a battle.
True.
In some sense, when you are basically doing this, but I think so. It just becomes a part of the process. You know that there is going to be some amount of resistance to any change that you're bringing, or to the ideology that you want to basically insist upon, right? But we managed. Now we have managed that, right? So his name doesn't have father's name or
no
mother's
way,
name.
no way.
Yeah.
He just is Kabir Das Thakkar, And I think so that is as an individual we want him to grow, not with the baggage of basically us, but with values and ideologies that we have.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So also because he's like everywhere they say पापा નું નામ so મેં કહ્યું ના માનું પૂછ તો એ પણ કંટાળી ગયો કે આ બધી જગ્યાએ બેન લડવાના જ છે so we were like બધી જગ્યાથી નામ જ કાઢી નાખો we don't want parents name we
Okay.
just want
The
then at 18 he chooses what he has to choose but otherwise it is both the surnames
both the surnames,
yeah and I think we are also seeing our daily ups and downs and Janvi I feel anywhere in the country any unconventional if I may use the word marriage has similar issues whether you like it or not.
True.
It's not restricted to a certain state. It is everywhere. It can be a very it is a very complex thing. And through our son now at least we are realizing like there is this whole thing of you're not supposed to talk about non-veg food but I eat it so my son eats it. Why is that so now
A taboo.
why is it a taboo? So dealing with that that's common everywhere I think. It's across the country so certain taboos like this now that he's 8 and he's asking us we are dealing
Trying
with
to
it
deal
yeah
with it.
yeah
Okay.
yeah
Even very simple thing like in the school basically the kids are told ask your mother to send this.
exactly and he's like my mother will not know also.
Right?
He says
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And
He says
so,
that.
so the fact is that in our education system also,
it is expected from a
it's,
woman.
they don't say ask your parents, right? They say ask your mother to send this, right? Ask your mother about this homework, and things like that. And I always also had a fight with the teacher that either you say parents, right, or you specifically say both. Ask your mother, father,
or guardian
like that. But you cannot
Say just
you cannot say
mother.
that. Yeah.
yeah and I told Kabir to wear it on the sleeve that your mother doesn't know this.
Okay.
Yeah, because I am not involved in his homework part. You want me to do other stuff, I do it. If that's something I don't want to do right now, I'm trying to avoid it because I hated homework as a kid. But the deal is he knows it. कि जहाँ भी school थी कहीं आवे, tell your mother. He knows. No, go to father. Mother will only make it more complex. Why this? Why not this? I'm like, so yeah. So fighting those stereotypes is been something that we are seeing
True.
now much more as the child is growing up.
Yeah.
In his conversation, in his in so many things, yeah.
And for all these young people who want to get into relationships or the dynamics for them has changed, like for them even staying together for 6 months is a big challenge. What would you advise or what would you say to them on this Valentine's Day?
Actually, for me,
Like, is marriage worth it?
at that age, it was challenging.
Yeah.
I never thought I would put it. I never thought.
I bet.
I really never thought. I'll be very honest.
Oh. But then it happens, or maybe.
For me, I've grown,
Yeah.
and I think all of us do. We should.
I don't see. Okay, so I don't think it is about chance at some point. Of course, it's about destiny, where basically people bring two individuals together. I think what is critically important, and which I think so the younger generation should learn, is commitment.
Okay.
Right? Once you commit to something, right, it is going to be basically struggle every day, in and out. There is no way out. marriage is not a rosy picture, right? Let's take this. Parenting, of course not, right? It's a I'm not saying it's a fight, okay? But it's a lot of work, right? For anything, it's like gardening, right? You just simply cannot say, "Wait, I've put a seed and then now I'll go away,"
Yeah.
right? You need to nurture the plant. You need to nurture basically its growth, right? Same thing is about marriage or parenting. One needs to nurture it, and one needs to be committed to this,
Yeah.
right? If one is not committed, don't do it.
I think commitment is the word for the younger generation to understand.
Absolutely. And I think I, with time, have understood patience. I still am not a very patient person. But I have realized with time that with some things, as I said, it's about the whole theatre thing. I can just lean back, close my eyes, and I trust him. That things are sorted. I don't have to think twice about kabhi not sleeping on time or not getting nutritious meal, play, everything. So somewhere that companionship, that trust comes with time. Yeah.
And another thing that younger generation faces is this insecurity due to maybe the lack of commitment. So does that ever take place, like insecurity? Like what if the other person,
Goes
maybe is
away.
with-
Goes away. Let them go.
let them go?
The fact is, you cannot
What?
you cannot bound somebody, right?
Yeah.
You cannot hold somebody. Moment you start, it is in some sense, it's like a flower, it's like a butterfly. So you cannot keep on holding it for long. It will die, right? You let it go. If it's really genuine or something, it will always come back. It will always be there. So you never hold. You never imprison, people or space or the scenario or their ideology or their values. You leave it open, right?
Do you have anything to say?
Oh, so I've always been the guy.
I'm
Let them go. Let them go. Like, नहीं यार late अभी आके बीजू कहीं कर दो उससे. So I've had those phases for sure. I'll be very honest. So despite the fact that I am the one who's always had a colorful life, I am the one who after shows has always. So I don't remember when Jay came last, and this is not COVID. When he turned up at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., and I know that even between the first and the second lockdown, I have done 2 a.m.s, 3 a.m.s, coming back home without feeling guilty.
Okay.
So I think with time I have realized that, as he said, insecurity goes if the relationship is solid.
Sorry.
It goes with time. It just vanishes, which is very important. And again, as I said,
It takes time.
And Janvi, as a woman, as a mother, especially in India, we tend to put a lot of guilt on women.
Yeah.
So if your mother also decides to go for a movie alone, she'll be very guilty. I should go with father. I should like Janvi, I tab jaungi. This is a very quintessential women thing, to feel guilty.
Yeah.
And that is something I haven't felt. I'm very honest.
You're very lucky.
Yeah, because I've never felt guilty that if I've not been able to go for a certain PTM, I know he's gone. So why is it a bad thing? And because I'm busy, I'm possibly doing something, But I'm there for very important occasions. ऐसा नहीं है. We both make sure we're there. But I don't want to feel guilty if I spend, say, 2 hours doing Netflix. I like to do it. कि ना.
समय तो ये लोगों ने this time is interesting.
કારણ કે guilt જે છે ને બહુ લઈ પાડે છે, especially બાળક થાય એના પછી. So you feel okay, and also the happier the mother is,
the happier the
family is, the
is.
environment is, So we need to understand કે હવે આ છે.
But the relationship is always basically also that one person is always something who is basically grounded, in many ways. Also, it's like a patang, right? A patang cannot fly if there is no dori or a firki.
Balancing
right?
it.
The balancing basically works very well, and it keeps on shifting. Sometimes basically one person becomes an anchor, and second person is outside, and vice versa. And it constantly keeps on happening, and that's what marriage is about.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story. For more such stories, keep watching Vibes of India.